lads, welcome back to another video, and this one's clearly my predictions for the Scottish Premiership this season. I will be doing in the next couple of days a Championship version on its own, and then League 1 and League 2 will have its own video. So obviously it's pretty self-explanatory what I'm going to go through here. It's just 1 to 12 in the Scottish Premiership, going through who I think will finish in each position. I might have quite a bit to say about some positions, not enough to say about others, just because of the league position that they'll be in. Obviously, talk quite heavily about the top 6 positions, and then as we get into like 7th, 8th, 9th and stuff, not too much, and then the bottom positions I might say a bit more. But ultimately I've not been that great at these in the last couple of years that I've been doing them on YouTube, and just in general I'm not that great at predictions, so I think everyone in the kind of space of Scottish YouTube and just in general when folk do table predictions and stuff, like, don't take their opinion too strongly. It's just an opinion at the end of the day, and ultimately has no bearing on anything that happens in the next 12 months. It's just what I've got to say on it. But we'll get in it straight away. I'm actually going to start at the top of the league because I actually think that's the most set on thing this season, and even though last season I would have said the exact same thing, I think the dynamics changed that much that it really is a nailed on position this time round. And I'm going to give it to Rangers. It's the first time that I've ever done a league prediction. I've been able to sit here and go, I think Rangers are going to win the league. And I just think that's one of the most nailed on things in Scottish football this year, because I just think Celtic's rebuild is going to be far too much, and Rangers are far too dominant and are producing really good signings off the back of a really good season. They're strengthening, they're not really losing any key players, so I just think that they'll finish first regardless of what Celtic have to say about it. But in second place I do have Celtic. Obviously they are going to go through a rebuild. It will be a kind of transitioning period for them, and it is yet to be seen how their squad really shapes up, because they haven't made too much signings. But I have to do this video now because the league's starting at the weekend, so I'm going to go with Celtic in second place. It could massively change, but I do still think that obviously the aura of Celtic coming to play some teams will have a factor. Going to Celtic Park and stuff like that, I think that will still play in their favour, especially when they get fans back and stuff. So I think that'll be enough to keep Celtic in second place, but perhaps not as comfortably as they may have done in other years where they may have finished in second place. Rangers and Celtic always tended to battle it out at the top of the league in seasons gone by, but potentially there was always a gap of maybe 15 to 20 points between those two and then the rest of the chasing pack. I think it might be tighter this year just because of that rebuild that Celtic have to go through under Ange Postecoglou. In third place, I'm going to change it up for last season and not back Hibernian to finish in third. I can't remember if I had them in third place this time last year. I certainly had them in third or fourth, but I'm going to put Aberdeen in third place this season. I think they've recruited very well, even if it is just players from Livingston like J. Emmanuel Thomas. They've brought in that Christian Ramirez up front as well, and I just think they're strengthened enough to be able to push on and get in that third place. Obviously Stephen Glass is a new face in Scottish football. Really came in at the latter end of last season after Derek McInnes left the club, and a bit of upheaval in terms of just in general at the club, and then obviously player recruitment, but I think they've done well enough to be able to push on and get that third place this season and go one better than they did last time round. But then in fourth I do have Hibs. They're pretty much still as strong as last season. I've just got Aberdeen maybe pitting it just because of their kind of reinvigorated look about them, but Hibs are very impressive. Now under Jack Ross they're getting to the latter stages of cup competitions. They'll obviously just be hoping that they can push that one bit further and maybe win a trophy this season, but they're going to finish fourth, and that'll most likely get them some form of Europa League football, whether that be the Conference League or Europa League itself. Obviously it'll be the qualifying rounds like they are currently in at the moment, but I think they're going to finish fourth this season with the strong squad that they've got. As long as they can keep the additions of Nisbet and stuff, they'll definitely finish in fourth. If they lose additions like that and don't add back with quality, then I'm not as confident, but we'll go with what the situation is at the moment, with still players like Martin Boyle on fire, Christian Doidge, Scott Allen coming back, Kevin Nisbet on the books, Porteous is still there as well, so I'm going to give Hibs fourth. Now I'm going to really switch it up this time round. I'm not going to have St Johnstone in the top 6, so there's a wee bit of a spoiler. I'm going to have in 5th and 6th place St Mirren and Dundee United. these two teams were very close to finishing in the top 6 last season, especially St Mirren, who missed out on the top 6 by, I think, goal difference last season on the last day before the split. So I think this season they're really going to make that push. They've made investments into their team. They've signed players like Greg Kiltie. They've kept players like Joe Shaughnessy at the back, Jack Anick as well. They've still got a very solid squad, and I think they're maybe just better equipped this time round to deal with it. They've obviously still got to keep the likes of Jamie McGrath at the club, who was a key component for them, especially for the penalty spot last season, and just in general in the overall play, I think he was one of their more vital players. So if they can keep a player like him and bat off any offers from most likely down south, then I imagine St Mirren will go on to finish in the top 6 this season. Jamie McGrath might be a big loss. I'm sure they'll go and reinvest that though and bring in another player of quality, and I'm backing St Mirren to finish in the top 6 regardless this time round. And then my other addition to the top 6, as I said, is Dundee United. I'm just going off the basis of, obviously, they've not lost any key players so far. They've even kept Benjamin Siegrist, who I thought was destined to be moving on to pastures new in the coming season, but it looks like he's sticking around. So I'm going to say that Dundee United are going to finish in the top 6 for the first time in a long time, obviously, because they were in the Championship for a good few seasons, and last season they didn't finish there. So I'm going to have Dundee United there, and it may or may not come back to bite me in the arse. We'll wait and see come the end of the season, but with the likes of Charlie Mulgrew coming in as well, that's an added bit of quality to make them push that wee bit further this time round. Just outside the top 6 is the team that is obviously the massive miss in my top 6 this time round, and that is St Johnstone. They've obviously still got their very good squad, and they've done extremely well last season under Callum Davidson. I just think there might be a bit of a lull after this season, and it's not like it's a really bad position for St Johnstone to finish in either. 7th place is easily keeping them in the division, and they could potentially be like St Mirren last season and just miss out by the odd goal difference or 1 point here or there. It will be very tight because St Johnstone are very consistent performers in the Scottish Premiership and have been for numerous years now, but I think this may be the season where they just take that wee step back and don't get top 6 football like they have been. In 8th, 9th and 10th I've got Motherwell, Hearts and then Dundee. Now I assume Motherwell and Hearts won't like their positioning in the league table, especially Hearts, because they always consider themselves a top 6 club. However, because they've just come up, and I don't really rate Robbie Neilson as a manager, if I'm being quite honest, so I do have them outside the top 6, and as I said, they're going to be finishing in 9th. Motherwell just above them in 8th. I think they're a bit to and fro at the moment, and it may go one way, it may go the other for Motherwell. I don't think they're good enough for top 6 ultimately. They will finish somewhere in that bottom 6 for me. It really is just up to them and their consistency levels where they finish in the bottom 6, because I don't think they're quite capable of reaching anything much higher than that, but I don't think they're going to be that horrendous that they're going to finish anywhere near the bottom like they flirted with last season at times. And then in 10th is the new boys Dundee. I'm relatively confident about Dundee staying up. Obviously it could be quite tight considering they are just finishing 10th and not even 8th or 7th obviously. I've kept them realistically low, even though I do think they will stay up in the Premiership. Obviously players like Charlie Adam and stuff coming in, Jason Cummings still in the books, they've got a decent overall squad, Lee Ashcroft at the backs for another year of progression in his career. I just think Dundee are coming up relatively well equipped for the Premiership, and I'm going to back them to stay up. And a lot of people will probably have them going straight back down just because that is kind of how folk look at these type of things, with a team coming up from the Championship who didn't get automatic promotion. But I've got belief in the quality that's within that Dundee squad for them to stay up and then consolidate and potentially grow into a higher end bottom 6 club in the seasons to come. And the bottom 2 is where it gets relatively interesting, because obviously I've kept Dundee out of it. Hearts have just come up as well and I've kept them out of it. And I've stuck Livingston in the relegation playoff place, and Ross County is automatically relegated. Now I think I've always had the notion of having Ross County down in the bottom 2, and it's going to happen one year, and I've got them sitting rock bottom this time round. I don't know what to think about the Malky Mackay appointment. Obviously it was tinged with negativity when it first happened. I don't think they've ultimately got that great a squad, and I've got them sitting rock bottom. Livingston obviously been pretty good since getting promoted a few seasons ago now, but I just think there's going to be a bit of a downhill fall from the successful days of David Martindale just about 6 or 7 months ago, obviously, but I think there's just going to be that bit of a lull. They'll be in the relegation playoffs and then go against a Championship club, and whether or not they come out on top against that team, you'll wait and find out in tomorrow's Championship predictions. But that's the two I've got in the bottom two. We'll wait and see if all of this comes to fruition. I doubt it heavily, but that's just how it is. We'll wait and see. But that's it for this video, guys. Cheers for watching. If you did enjoy it, please give it a like. Comment down below your predictions for this season's Scottish Premiership. And until the next video, I'll see you then. Cheers, guys.